Hello, everyone. This is Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Welcome to the One Bitcoin Show. Today is June the 11th, 2020. Strong hand, long-term thinking. Bitcoin is the next Bitcoin. One Bitcoin equals one Bitcoin. Personal responsibility is the new counterculture. Offended by selling. Oh my, do we have a special show for you today? I am so pumped. You guys might remember back in November or so, there was a Monero episode, and there was like the Monero guy was on, and I always talk about the Monero guy. He hosts Monero Talk. Well, there's a real guy behind Monero Talk. The Monero guy is really Douglas Tuman. Doug, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Adam. I love your show, man. Just when you do the intro, you remind me how much I miss watching your show because I've been so busy. I stopped tuning into a lot of my normal crypto episodes. I don't worry, I'll catch back up with the Adam Meister show. But just hearing your intro reminded me how much I do love your show, man. You do a great show.
Well, dude, pound that like button for liking my show. Even though we don't agree on cryptocurrency, we can still, respect.
We overlap on a lot of things. I think
we do. And this is the wild thing. All of a sudden, I hear that the Monero guy, of all people, is running for political office in New York. Now, it's kind of funny because I'm hearing about some guy named Herzog running for political office in New York just because Vitalik is talking about him, but I hadn't heard about the Monero guy. So what brought you to run for politics? Because you care a lot about privacy, and when you run for political office, there's no more privacy.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like the biggest decision for me. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think we spoke about this the last time I was on your show. The reason why I'm so passionate about Monero is because I think it is the tool that will allow us to preserve liberty in the digital age. And, that's really where my passion lies. I'm a big liberty guy. I'm running on, I'll be backed by the Nassau County Republican Party. I'm on the Republican ticket. I actually have a primary coming up. But really, like, in terms of ideals and what motivated me to get politically is my deep-seated belief in liberty and, the foundations that this government was built upon. And I do think in a lot of ways, it ties into cryptocurrency. I don't think a lot of people have tried to make that connection and make that argument politically. But that I really do see those things going hand in hand. I see Monero as free speech money. And I want to be the guy on the floor of Congress making that argument to make sure crypto, and in particular Monero, is not regulated out of existence and is allowed to flourish so that we can protect our liberty in the digital age. And, like you said, I mean, the fact that there is a little bit of, it was a tough decision, right? So, I mean, because now I'm sacrificing my own privacy. I'm sacrificing a lot of the things I do believe in. But, it works. I think somebody's got to step up and do it. And I'm willing to take that role. So that was the reasoning.
Monero has quite a reputation. Well, Bitcoin has quite a reputation. People say Bitcoin is for drug dealers and terrorists, et cetera, et cetera. And then Monero, they take it to the next level. Have you gotten any feedback from people when they hear that you're the Monero guy?
Yeah, I have. I mean, so as I'm running, when I go door to door, I'm also a very local, in my non-Monero life, I'm the commissioner of engineering for the town of Hempstead. So most of you probably don't know what that is, but the town of Hempstead is it's actually the largest town in America by some measures. It's in Nassau County, which is right outside New York City. So right outside Queens. It's a very large place. And I'm very well connected with the community on a personal basis in terms of being the commissioner of engineering. I'm in charge of all the infrastructure for my entire town. So in my non-crypto life, I do have this kind of like personal connection. So when I'm going door to door and when I'm talking people during my camp, I only recently started going door to door because of Corona. But as I'm campaigning online, honestly, crypto really doesn't come up, right? So I'm talking about more the other things that I believe in, right? So all this like liberty stuff, right? I mean, that's really kind of what I focus on. The direction that I want the country to be going in. My slogan is "Build a brighter future together." I have this whole component of my campaign where I've created a text-based polling system, and I'm giving all my constituents access to it. And we built it out so only people in my district can sign up. So it's kind of a way they can vote issue to issue. And then I'll use that to help determine how I legislate in Congress. But my point being, I don't really go and I don't talk, Monero is not the number one thing I talk about. It's really, I don't bring it up until we get to the conversation. Some people do talk and they say, hey, how about the fact, what do you think about the fact that, the government just, essentially printed $3 trillion, over the last, couple of months. What do you think about that? What do you think about, the Federal Reserve? And then that's when I start to then talk about things like cryptocurrency. I start to talk about Monero. It's woven into my campaign. I don't really talk about it or bring it up to people unless it comes up in conversation. And then obviously I'm out there talking to the crypto people, trying to get them behind me as the candidate, trying to get some, honestly, trying to get some funding for them, right? To help make this a reality. I have a really good chance at actually, this isn't like, I'm not like a crypto guy who's just deciding to run for Congress on a lark. I'm a political, I never ran for office, but, I'm a government official by day. I'm the commissioner of engineering. I'm very close with the local Republican Party. So I'm that first. So I do have a shot at actually winning this thing. And the crypto is just kind of, icing on the cake. And it's a big part of what I believe in. And I tie it into my messaging.
All right. Is it legal to donate Monero to a campaign?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you could donate Monero. You could donate, any cryptocurrency. I make that a big part of my, I put that out there all over the place. If you want to donate Monero, you just have to, it's a federal campaign. So people have to, and this is, kind of antithetical to the Monero way, they have to reveal their identity, okay, right? So if they're donating anything over essentially $50, they have to, tell me, their name, their employer, their occupation. So there's that element. But there's reasons why those rules exist. I don't necessarily disagree with it. I've been thinking about it. I'd be interested to hear your opinion on that, actually. I do, like I said, I'm all for free speech money. I think it's important. Money is power, right? Money it is speech at the end of the day. So you could use your money to influence, right? It is, there's a few, you can vote in elections, and you could also then use your money to help steer elections. Now, whether or not, you should have to reveal your identity. I do understand the reasoning as to why you would want that, right? So we don't want, outsiders, people outside of this country, essentially influencing our internal elections. But I'm also a big believer in the fact that we don't want people getting censored, right? So somebody might want to participate in an election and have some political idea, but not want to reveal themselves. So for me, it is a tough issue. What is your take on that? Actually?
Oh, the campaign finance bureaucracy is so big. It is such a waste. I think there shouldn't be limits. I don't think there should be limits at all. And I think it can come from private sources. I'm not worried about foreign influence or anything like that. I think it's a huge bureaucracy. It helps the established people maintain their power. All these rules around campaign finance. I mean, imagine there could be some newcomer out there that a millionaire loves, and he could only give him $6,000 or something like that. And I don't know. The entrenched people are that gives them an advantage right there.
Yeah, it makes it very hard, so, I'm connected to my local Republican Party, but, it is, unless you really know the ropes or you're already established, it is hard. So because the max donation is $2,800 from an individual, the incumbent that I'm going up against, she could round up millions of dollars, no problem. And you really need to know how to work with the loopholes, how to get around that. Somebody like me, I literally have to just go person to person and hope to try to get a few max donations. So it does kind of give people like that, people like me, an unfair, makes it unfair, and others have an unfair advantage.
Now, when you grew up on Long Island?
Yeah, born and raised on Long Island.
Do you have any memories of the Islanders winning the Stanley Cup?
I was never a big hockey guy.
But do you remember the happy feelings that people had around you?
I remember the Islanders in their heyday. I used to go to the games. I used to have friends that were into it, and they had tickets, and I would go to the Islanders games.
Some would call it the Nassau Mausoleum, not the Nassau Coliseum. From what I heard from the people that I knew from up there. Okay, I just wanted to give everybody a little bit of a flavor, the New York flavor. This guy is real. And hey, if you've got questions, ask them right now in the live chat. People, you can ask politically cryptocurrency related questions. So, have you heard about this guy, Jonathan Herzog, that's running?
What is he running? He's running for Congress?
In the 10th district, in the 10th of New York's 10th.
And does he have an actual shot? Do you know what he's running as? He's running as a libertarian?
No, he's running as a Democrat.
He's running as a Democrat. Okay.
Against there's a huge Democrat. He has no shot because it's a big Democrat incumbent there. So you're running against a Democrat. Well, first of all, when is the primary? When's the primary?
So primary is June 23rd. I have a very good shot at winning. I don't. The only reason I don't want to say I'm going to win because I personally never. I always fight to win, and I never assume I'm going to win anything until the battle is over. But I have a very good shot at winning the primary. I have the entire party behind me. So primary, I should, knock on wood, should definitely be able to win handedly. But then I'm up against Kathleen Rice, who is the incumbent. She typically wins by 60%. But I think this year, with everything that's going on and my messaging, which is, building a brighter future together, bringing people together, really a big part of what my message is kind of going back to basics, focusing on this idea of, the American dream, focusing on the fact, this idea. When I knock on doors and I talk to people, I'm like, hey, what is it that you want? What is it that you want your community to look like? What is it that you want America to be? And it's like, I want to feel safe. I want to be able to, buy a home. I want to be able to go out into society, into an open and free society where I can act as an individual. I want to have equal opportunity to strive to succeed. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what people want. And that's just true ideals of what this country was founded upon. So I'm really trying to tap into that message. And that message translates beyond the Republican Party, and people hear that message no matter what side of the political spectrum they're on. Because one-on-one, when you're talking to them, they're like, yeah, that's what I want. And then, I don't know what your take was on the lockdown and everything.
Oh.
I was a big proponent on reopening things swiftly. I don't know where you stood on that.
The lockdown was horrifying. And we get back to work immediately. Very good to hear on your part.
Yeah, so I came out on that very early when it was controversial, probably for the same reasons you did. And, I went to these rallies where it was very controversial, showing up as somebody's running for political office for Congress. And I show up, and these rallies, this was a while ago now. And everybody's like, how could you do that? You're endangering people's lives. You don't care about, safety. I'm like, well, I care about, the economy. I care about all these small business owners that, aren't allowed to practice their own common sense and decide whether or not they want to open their business. When has America ever functioned like this, where we take away the ability of individuals in society to practice common sense and make their own decisions as to what they want to do? And then here in New York, Governor Cuomo, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but, he's been out there every day acting like he's the emperor, like he's looking out for everybody's best interests. Meanwhile, one of the things he did, this is very controversial, there was a time where he was sending corona patients were getting sent back into nursing homes.
Yes.
And it was completely backwards, Meanwhile, he's telling you, safety. Meanwhile, there's healthy young people that are locked in their homes. They can't go and work. There's small businesses done. So I really tapped into that message. And I think, that message is translating. And I think that's why, in November, as I continue to hound on that, look what the Democrats did. Look what Kathleen Rice was doing. And look what I stand for. I think I can start to eat into her people and to the people that are there's a lot of people in my district that are registered blanks that are unassociated with either party, and I think I can really get in touch with them with that message.
All right, pound that like button, everyone. You're the first political candidate I've ever had on the show before, but you're an innovator in that way. But I want to point out to everyone to give this guy's history. He got me into Jitsi back in November. All right. And so now everyone got locked down and started using Zoom and saw the privacy issues with Zoom. Meanwhile, back in November, I've been on Jitsi since November. So there are a lot of people who like, well, what's this Jitsi thing? And now they know about it because Zoom was so not so private. So I got to give you credit. You do know tech. You do know privacy. Do you, from talking to the real voters, do they care about privacy at all?
You know, they do. Everybody's starting to understand it, you know, especially now with the lockdown, right? With everybody's on the internet, was on the internet more than ever, right? And then, like you said, things with like the Zoom, you know, with their realizing that their kids, their young children that are normally in school are now on Zoom, you know, and they're starting to realize, like, wait a minute, you know, like who controls that? People I think are starting to wake up to that, you know. People are starting to wake up like that. They're starting to realize. In terms of, you know, Monero and private money, I don't know if that's something that translates and people are understanding. But like I said, when they see that the government's printing up all this money, that gets their attention. You know, that certainly wakes them up to crypto. You know, and I should say, you know, what we saw, you know, we've seen people support Bitcoin, right? We've seen that happen now. We've seen political figures talk in Congress positively about Bitcoin. But what we haven't seen, you know, whenever Bitcoin is discussed on the floor of Congress, you know, when they have these hearings and they talk about it, there's that question that always essentially ends up coming up. And it is, hey, what if this, you know, Bitcoin thing was used to fund terrorism? Or, you know, what if it's, you know, people are using it on the dark web to buy drugs? And then the canned answer, the response is, well, don't worry about it, Senator or Congressman. Bitcoin is actually a traceable ledger where you can see all transactions. And that becomes the argument as to why it's okay to have Bitcoin. And that always annoyed me on a very deep level, because that shouldn't be the argument. It should be, well, there's this, you know, we even have things like Monero where you could actually, you know, where we don't have control, we don't have you, but that's okay, right? Because it's like cash, and we're okay with that in society with cash, right? And why are we okay with that? We're okay with that because money is speech. People should be able to freely use their money as they wish. And if it's used for nefarious purposes, doesn't mean it should make the use obsolete for other purposes, just like the internet itself. I'm sure you've had these conversations many times on this show, but nobody's really making that message on the floor of Congress. Nobody's really arguing that publicly. They all kind of like step back. But I think that's the message to be made. You know, it's free speech money. We have the Constitution. You know, I think ultimately, if you wanted to actually start to really, somebody wanted to seriously consider regulating something like Monero or outlawing Monero, I think you'd really come up against the Constitution and cases that have gone before the Supreme Court, and you'd realize Monero is constitutional, and it's something that, you know, is good for the country. It's going to create more fluid communication. It's going to create a more fluid economy where people can, you know, freely just interact in commerce.
I want to ask you about being on the floor of Congress. You saw the Mark Zuckerberg Facebook hearings. Some people were really virtue signaling and attacking him. What would you asked him? How would you treated Mark Zuckerberg? And what's your take on Facebook and Libra?
Oh, my take on, well, I think, it's kind of doesn't matter, you know, because Bitcoin and things like Monero exist, right? So my take on Libra is that it's just a poor attempt at, you know, trying to make money or grab power off of this crypto revolution that already happened without Zuckerberg. And that's it. It looks like it's a failed attempt already. I don't see anything happening with that.
It's slowly moving on. I mean, the bigger question is, would you let him have it if you were in charge? Would you just say, yeah, you can have your own cryptocurrency, Mark?
Sure. Yeah, of course. And that, and I think, people would then have the freedom to then choose other cryptos, which they already have. And people would slowly wake up. Go ahead.
You say it so nonchalantly. Of course. All the other politicians want a piece of it. They want to regulate it. They want to stop it. You just said, I agree with you 100%. Yeah. Why do they have to have a darn hearing about the darn thing?
Yeah, no, I mean, I see that as a bridge to, to the true cryptos, to Bitcoin and Monero, right? So as people start to use that, if they were to, they would realize, like, wait a minute, why am I using this, Zuckerberg coin, Zuckbucks, when I could be using, the Monero or Bitcoin version of it? I think that, you're going to need things like that to happen to create these on-ramps, into true cryptos.
Now, I am not a guy who likes to spend a lot of time on politics, so I don't encourage people to do what you're doing and everything. But at some point, there's going to have to, the people in Congress are going to have to learn what this really is about. And so you just running, it's good marketing for cryptocurrency, for Bitcoin, for Monero, for whatever. And you'll inspire other crypto candidates and maybe, shift things so some of these incumbents become more of crypto candidates. You're doing a good deed here. It's so darn time consuming. It's going to take and you're running against an incumbent. But if people want to help out, again, your page is linked to below. You accept all sorts of cryptocurrencies on it. I mean, is there a Bitcoin address there? What's it look like if I wanted to give you a cryptocurrency?
So the way we tried to keep it simple. So it's douglastuman.com is the website.
Yes.
But yeah, at the donation, we made it very simple. So like, if you wanted to donate in crypto, we just ask you essentially to fill out a form saying that you want to donate into crypto. And then we'll just send you the address, because we got to get your information first.
Okay.
Because it is a federal election. So you basically say, I'm Adam Meister, whatever, you hit submit. And then we would send you, if you want to donate in Bitcoin, we'd send you a Bitcoin address to donate to, so that we know this Bitcoin is coming from Adam Meister.
Okay.
Same with Monero and all others.
Okay. I see how that works now. That's because there was somebody in the chat who wanted to give you Bcash. So he says, it's linked to below, by the way, the Douglas's freaking site where you can read all his opinions and everything. And his Twitter, it's linked to, but go to the site. So if you want to give him the Bcash, if you were serious, dude, in the comment section, he'll take that Bcash and
go to the donation section. You'll see a form. Just fill it out, and we'll send you a Bcash address to send to him. No worries.
Yeah. So what do you think about all the since the end of the month, since the end of May, there have been disturbances across the United States. What's your take on this?
I'm just upset about how divided the country is, and at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of people are just pawns in this game that's taking place here, where the country is essentially being divided, and it's for political reasons. The media is a big part of what's happening here. I think what happened, obviously, to George Floyd. I think anybody who's human who watched that video, I think had the same response. Was that guy was just murdered in broad daylight, and it was a horrible thing. And he was murdered by a police officer. And I think the protests totally called for. Obviously, big liberty guy, big First Amendment guy. Go out there, protest, practice your First. I do think it was a little hypocritical to see the Democrats and the liberals that were opposed to people like me out there protesting to reopening the economy were then okay with people protesting other things. But that aside, I agree. Let's go out there. Go ahead, go protest. I agree with the fact that there needs to be change, obviously, because otherwise you wouldn't have people out there protesting in these numbers. Something is wrong. I don't agree, obviously, with it evolving into riots and where that's happened. I don't stand for that at all. I know people in my community don't agree with that. I do think some political figures were kind of looking the other way on that, being like, I understand why they're rioting. There's no understanding for rioting. I mean, they were ruining people's communities, destroying people's neighborhoods. It's a horrible thing. So, proponent for people peacefully protesting. I don't like I don't agree with the message that it turned into. Let's defund the police. I think, to have open and free societies, which, like I keep, saying is, a big part of my message, which is what I think people want in America, especially in New York. You need law and order. You need safety. People need to feel safe. They need to feel like, they can buy a home in a neighborhood and it's not going to get, robbed. They could open up the storefront and it's going to, a brick isn't going to go flying through the window. Like, that's what you need in society. We're not at the point in evolution where we're able to say, hey, no laws. We're all getting along fine. So the defunding the police thing, I think it's a bit drastic, and I'm certainly opposed to that message. Where do you stand on it?
Of course, I don't want to completely defund the police. What I would love is every budget gets cut. Let's run the government more efficiently. I say defund. My reply to that, because it's such a radical thing to say defund the police, I say defund the Board of Education, defund the educational department, defund the schools, because their budgets are also bloated because of unions. And if the unions were held in check a little bit more, the police budget would go down, the educational budget would go down, and there would not be as much abuse in both of these realms, because there's plenty of really nasty abuse in education also, okay? And we don't hear about that, and that's to the children. So I am for smaller government all around, but like completely having chaos on the streets with no more police, which is what some of these people are just not long-term thinkers. They're like, well, let's just get rid of all the police. It'll be a perfect world. No, that's not how you do things. You actually have a long-term plan. What comes after the police? What does a smaller budget look like for a smaller police force? What does a less corrupt police force look like? I mean, these are the people are, again, you said it beforehand. So much of this is just political grandstanding. People are jumping on mindless phrases to rile up people's emotions. And again, for now, this is our second time interview. You're not about riling up people's emotions. You're just stating the facts here. You're into the numbers.
And I think that's what people want too. And I think people are going to gravitate towards that because they want normalcy. They're getting all riled up on social media, but they're beginning to see that they are pawns in the game here. It's like, why are you looking at me? It's people that, that normally I'd be smiling at and they'd be smiling back at me. It's like, now, like, we're enemies because we're on different political sides of the spectrum, which is exactly what certain people want us to be. And at the end of the day, we're more similar than we are different, right? We all want, like I said, we all want the same thing. We want to, in my community, I know, people want to be able to buy a home, have a family, start have a job, maybe be an entrepreneur, be an individual, have equal opportunity. So that really should have nothing to do with politics. But yet we're more divided than ever before. So I think we need to really, get that message out there of uniting people against the people that are trying to divide us, essentially, and just coming together as citizens and being like, enough with the absurd politics and people trying, using us and turning people against each other. It's disgusting, really.
I think you can tie cryptocurrency into all of this, and I recommend that you try to tie it in all the time to differentiate yourself, to get into the news somehow, because an incumbent Democrat in New York sounds like people take that for granted. The media will just assume she's going to win, and just not. You're going to have to use this as a marketing tool. And again, I encourage you to do it because it'll be good. It'll be good for you. It'll be good for Bitcoin. It'll be good for cryptocurrency. So I don't know what your normal spiel is when you knock on doors. You usually can only bring up like 1 to 3 subjects. Do you bring up cryptocurrency at all?
Like I said, it's not like when I talk about like, the major things I'm talking about, I don't just be like, and by the way, cryptocurrency, because a lot of people don't even know it. But anybody that I do engage in, like I'd say like, maybe 60% of them, we end up getting to the topic because they'll be like, do you know, because they'll say something like I said about, the printing of the money, or, things like that. Or, they're concerned with that. And then I'll be like, are you aware of cryptocurrency? That's usually how it starts, how the conversation starts. But I don't just go out there and bring I'm Doug Tuman, and I believe we should all be using cryptocurrency, because I just don't think that's not something that a lot of normal people that aren't in the crypto world can relate to. But I think it's going to be a big part of who I am. So if elected, it will certainly get out there. And during my campaign, you're going to start to see a lot more of it. So once I win the primary, once I'm up against Kathleen Rice, it will become a bigger part of my message. She was on, I think it was a Homeland Security Commission, where they did something where they started to investigate privacy coins. Actually, they allotted money towards that. And she was a big part of that. She was actually the one spearheading that. I didn't even realize that until I was going to run and I was just researching her. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. So I'll be bringing that up because, that's exactly what I don't think we need. I don't think we need a government spending money doing research on how to stifle a technology. I mean, the internet, Silicon Valley, we did pretty well with Silicon Valley, right? So does America, for the interest of America, do we want to be missing out on the tech boom of crypto? And in a lot of ways, we already are, especially here in New York. I'm sure, the bit license was, it was tragic. I mean, it was revolting to see New York, that at one time was this bastion of free commerce. It's the birth of Wall Street, becomes the place where you couldn't even talk crypto. The bit license, you had to be Goldman Sachs or Goldman Sachs to maybe get your foot in the door there with the running a crypto business in New York. I mean, that is not what we need in this state, and that's certainly not what we need in this country. And I think once you really get the message out there, you compare it to the internet. You do things like that. You compare the technology to. There's obviously a lot of good and bad that comes with the, Andreas Antonopoulos always talked about that very eloquently, comparing it to the internet. The fact that, a lot, it could be used for good and bad, right? But the overwhelming use is for good, right? I don't think anybody would argue that the internet hasn't improved the world. And that's going to be the same argument that needs to be made with crypto.
I love what you said, that woman was on a committee that basically is there to stifle innovation. And that alone, what you said about that was great. I mean, take that as a sound clip out of there, and it will get so many cryptocurrency people interested in your campaign. Because unfortunately, I do know from being around politics a little while that it is so much of this is about funding. So he's going to need funding. He's going to need attention from the crypto. We're going to have to call you the crypto candidate, man. Step into that position to be the crypto candidate, and you'll get articles in CoinDesk about you. Hopefully this is the first of much coverage in the cryptocurrency space. And you should, to get on some of these shows, just show them that clip, what you just said about what your opponent is all about. Your opponent is about stifling technology, stifling this industry, which is part of the golden age of the 2020s. Do we want a guy who wants Americans to be free, to be part of the golden age of the 2020s, or do we want someone that's just going to try to put all sorts of obstacles in everyone's ways? So I think that's what it boils down to. We're here at the end. Is there anything else you wanted to add? Anything that wasn't said? Any points to tell the crowd?
No, I mean, thanks for having me on. Thanks for asking me all the great questions. And yeah, I would say, I haven't really pitched to the Monero community or the crypto community at large in any big way to raise funds. But yeah, now would be the time. It would certainly help. And it's not, like I said, I have a real shot at this. We'll certainly, I'm going to win the primary. I hope. But I really think we have a great shot at that. And then, Kathleen Rice, I think we'll give her a run for her money. And, if I have the crypto community behind me and actually supporting me, it is possible, and this is it's a congressional seat. This isn't minor. This is a big deal. and it's out of New York. You know, New York's a powerful place. Nassau County writes, you know, this is nothing wrong with upstate New York, but this isn't upstate New York. This is Nassau County, right outside of New York City, which I think is the greatest city in the world, despite the bit license. You know, so it's a powerful seat, and you know, we get some, you know, we get me in there, and you know, I'll be, you know, your Monero candidate, your crypto candidate, and I think it's great for the crypto community if we could pull it off.
All right, this might be the start of something really big, and hopefully you'll inspire a lot of other people out there to openly talk about this stuff and to oppose all sorts of obstacles that these nonsense politicians try to put in our way. They're trying to slow down the golden age of the 2020s. You're trying to rev it right up. All right, Doug Tuman, everybody, check him out. He is linked to below. You might know him as the Monero Talk guy.
Here, I'll show my shirt here. It's my Tuman shirt.
It's bigger. It's big stuff here, dude. All right. This will go down in history, this video. Who knows? It might be the start of something huge. I'm Adam Meister, the Bitcoin Meister, the Disrupt Meister. Remember to subscribe to the channel, like this video, pound that like button. We'll be back at This Week in Bitcoin on Friday, 10 a.m. East Coast time. Thanks a lot again, Doug. See everyone later. Bye-bye.